Hey everybody, what's going on? Hellmite here, bringing another video from Grab the Lantern today. It's Tuesday, and the patch notes for the Worlds patch, patch 12.18, have been posted, so it's time for us to count down the top 5 changes of patch 12.18. I'll let you guys know what I think are the most impactful or insightful changes of this week's patch, and let you guys know what to be looking forward to in the coming weeks. As mentioned, 12.18 is the Worlds patch. This is the last chance Riot has to make changes to the metagame for the upcoming World Championship tournament, so as a result, most of these changes are pro-skewed. That said, there are a few things that I want to discuss that are going to have an effect for casual play. So let's go ahead and get started with the number 5 change all the way down here, and the Udyr changes. Now, Udyr has been out for a couple of weeks now, and players have started to pick up on him, and most notably figure out what his more degenerate strategies are. This includes things like R-max in lane, where your opponent just kind of can't avoid the damage that this ability is putting out, as well as doing a W-max second in order to be really beefy while being able to put out a lot of damage, and sort of ignore Udyr's other abilities, outside of E, of course, because that's your way to get in, but Q has just sort of been languishing. So even though Riot have made Udyr's kit a little bit more flexible in terms of which abilities you're using, there's still no emphasis for Q to be used. As a result, Riot have made a couple of tweaks to Udyr's kit, trying to make Q into a better 1.1 durability, as well as nerf down these degenerate strategies. R is just straight up nerfed across the board. Iron Mantle has been nerfed in terms of its activated components, that is the percent health that you restore on activation, as well as the shield that you get, but the lifesteal was increased with rank, which means that if you're in the middle of a fight auto-attacking things, you're going to have more durability than before. If all you're doing is running around and pressing W to sponge off damage, though, you're going to be weaker overall. Q is also a much better 1-point wonder. It has a much lower mana cost than it does before, and the Awakened version now deals additional max health physical damage on the first 2 attacks, making this a lot more palatable as an Awakened ability and as a single-use ability. You just have the single point in the Q, especially for early clears, and getting that percent health damage as you open a fight, and then you use your other buttons better because you've been maxing them. Additionally, Udyr took a couple of hits to his baseline durability. Overall, I think this is a good step in the direction for the champion. I would like it if Q was focused on a little bit more in terms of his DPS skill. I think that that's the ability that Udyr should have for his primary damage, but I generally like the direction that Riot have taken the champion, so I'm not going to complain too much. Moving on to the number 4 change here, we're going to be talking about Misfortune. Now, she took a very big hit on the last patch when she had her cast time on her Q increased, which just increased her reliability to infinity and beyond, so much so that she had to be hotfix nerfed to compensate for some of that extra strength, and Riot are nerfing her even further in preparation for Worlds because of just how reliable she has gotten. These aren't the hugest nerfs of all time, but they are going to affect not only Misfortune's scaling, but also the amount of health that she gets, so she should be a lot squishier on the Worlds patch than she is on live right now. I think this is a good direction for the champion. Is it going to be enough? Maybe, maybe not. I think she'll still be a contender, but she's definitely going to feel a lot weaker as the game goes on. Moving on over to our number 3 change, we have the Lulu changes. Now, Lulu has been just the premier enchanter in the game right now. She does so much, and her W gives her, or her E rather, gives her so much value that it's just hard to deal with what she's putting out. And as a result, Riot are nerfing down Whimsy, as that is the ability that has just been running roughshod over everybody. It is actually her W. Apologies. You can tell how much I play Lulu. But the movement speed and the disable duration have both been reduced, and the cooldown has been increased on the ability, meaning that Lulu is going to get fewer casts of Whimsy, and they're going to be less impactful, meaning that she has to rely on the rest of her kit to help make up the shortfall. I feel like this is probably fine. Lulu still has a lot of really powerful abilities, and making Whimsy slightly weaker is only going to tap her down, and especially tap her down in her most frustrating aspect, because there's nothing you can do about a polymorph short of being able to cleanse it. So this should help make her less of the best enchanter and more of probably still a very strong enchanter, but not automatically the strongest. Moving on over to our number 2 change on this week's patch, it's going to be Hecarim nerfs. This is another name that should sound familiar from my rundown of patch 12.17. Hecarim got a bunch of really spicy changes on that patch, and Riot are pulling them back a little bit because he's just been too good at doing everything that he wants to do. Turns out when you nerf a champion's utility, but buff their durability and damage, they just kind of become this unstoppable bruiser monstrosity that still has utility, it's just slightly weaker than it was before, and Hecarim has been absolutely crazy, so pleased to see that they're nerfing him. I like the direction they've taken as well, reducing the damage on the Q, just kind of tapping it down very lightly to say, yeah, you're going to need more Qs in a fight in order to actually do a lot of damage, and as well as toning down the healing that Hecarim gets off Spirit of Dread. I think this is totally fair. It did not get hit at all when they added the mechanic that gives him bonus resist when W is active, so this is a very fair nerf to say, okay, you're healing for less, but it's because you have more baseline durability and need that healing a lot less than you did before. A base health nerf as well is going to help in that regard, so really happy to see these changes. I think Hecarim will still be very powerful, maybe even pro play viable, but I definitely think that these nerfs are going to get him into a better spot. And finally, the number one changes on this week's patch are to Maokai. This is a champion I actually think has pro play contention possibility because of how much Riot buffed him up. They buffed his top lane, they buffed his jungle, he was already playable in the support position, and I think he's going to be really, really good on the Worlds patch, even despite these nerfs that he's taking. Riot are trying to make jungle Maokai feel better at the expense of some of the laning power that he gets in both the top lane and support positions. Obviously, the passive nerf is just a net nerf to Maokai overall. The E nerf is a nerf specifically to his support. And the Q buff here, though, is specifically just to monsters, but it should mean that he clears faster and therefore more healthy. And that, I think, is a big deal, because if Maokai is playable in 3 lanes, he will get played professionally, literally just because the enemy team will have no idea where he's going. You can easily blind pick Maokai, and if they try to counterpick you top lane, you flex him support. If they try to counterpick him in top and support, you flex him to jungle. There's nothing that they will be able to do about it. So I think that if Maokai is good enough to see play in all 3 lanes, that he will get played at Worlds, period. In casual play, I think he's going to feel a lot better in the jungle, and if you're playing him in either of the other 2 positions, you're going to feel weaker, but that should be still okay, because he's still got so many buffs in the last patch. I think this is probably a fair number of nerfs to take. And that's going to be it for me today, guys. Thank you all so very much for watching. Let me know which changes you're most excited for down in the comment section below. I know I'm still excited about the Maokai changes, but you guys will have to let me know what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed the video today, go ahead and leave it a like. It really does help me out and let me know that you're enjoying the content. And if you really enjoyed the video, consider subscribing. I upload a video every Monday, Friday, and on patch days like today as well. Once again, thank you guys so very much for watching. I do appreciate it. And I'll talk to you all later.